Good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 7 of the course. Congratulations. If you've made it to this point, you're about halfway through. I've graded, just to start off real quick, I've graded everything up to this point that's been turned in that was due, including the response papers for Charles Eastman. I want to say, as I often say, with this course, I think those of you who completed the work did a fantastic job of following all the assignment guidelines and really sort of taking the assignment and providing some really interesting and thoughtful responses to Eastman's book. I always enjoy teaching Eastman, and I always find what people have to say about his book, people who've been reading his book for the first time, what their reaction and response is. So great work. If you have not completed the work, please do so as soon as possible. I have updated. I've decided to go ahead within the gradebook, and if you have not turned in the work, I have gone ahead and put zeros in for your credit, just so people have a firm understanding of what the status of their grade is in the course, their overall grade. So keep that in mind. Now, just because I put a zero in does not mean that you cannot go back and complete the work. If you have a zero in something, that means that the work is missing, that I have not received it. So be sure to complete all of your assignments and get caught up as soon as possible. I can't stress this enough. If you do the work in this course, then you will succeed in this course, and it's really just as simple as that. For this week, we will be completing our reading of Leslie Silko's Storyteller. I've looked around at some of the discussion sections for the week, and people comparing the work to Troyer and Eastman. You'll notice in your response paper for this week, after we finish reading all of Silko's Storyteller, you'll be reading Linda Krumholtz's article, which is To Understand This World Differently, is basically the title. I like the way Krumholtz, be sure to read, pay real close attention to this idea to where she lays out the definitions of Mary Louise Pratt's contact zones in the very first part of the article. And then also be sure that you concentrate pretty heavily on where she sort of breaks the book out into sections, because I think it helps people understand Silko's Storyteller quite a bit. It's a unique book, a multi-genre autoethnography, but it's also a book that wants to, I think anyway, introduce all of us, unless there's some Laguna or other Pueblo readers in the class that we're not aware of. I can only speak for myself. I guess I am not from Laguna. I am not Pueblo. So when I experience these stories, I do them from a non-Laguna person, but I don't think that excludes me from gaining an understanding of these stories. I think that these stories, and even as Silko lets us know in her interview, wants to be highly inclusive. And so as we read these stories, then we are being included within the context of these stories in some way, right? Doesn't make us Laguna in any way, but it does allow us to experience these stories as they're told. And so if you pay attention to the Krumholtz article, you'll see, I'm going to look at some notes here, you'll see that she lays the book out in several sections. She talks about the survival section in the first part of the book, about the first 50 pages, and then she talks about the Yellow Woman section, and then she talks about the drought and rain section, between 100 to about 186, and then she talks about a spirit section in some words. In other words, talking stories that deal with how to deal with death and maybe a reincorporation of spirits or an acknowledgement of soul and spirit, or an acknowledgement of an afterlife within the belief system. And then she finishes the stories up with the coyote stories, which are more humorous stories if you read them closely. So the book kind of starts out with these deeply tragic, traumatic events, I think. And then that poem in the center a long time ago really binds the book together. And then we turn on this trajectory towards acknowledgement of and how the world needs to remain in balance, and this particular world needs to remain in balance in order for people to get something as the vital necessity of rain and the vital necessity of water. So enjoy the book, read the Krumholtz article. You're going to be asked to kind of do a comparative For your response paper, you'll be asked to sort of compare a couple of the major works that we've read, Eastman, Troyer, Silko, or even some of the, and don't forget about the earlier essays that we read in the class, the first week of class, that set of essays by Deloria and Ortiz. You'll want to sort of include a couple of those works, and we'll be talking about how the authors that we've read so far have been using the act of writing. And then you'll need to sort of incorporate some secondary sources as well. So it's the same sort of format as the Eastman paper, except you'll be doing sort of a comparative analysis with all the work that we've read so far, and you'll need to include the definitions of some pretty specific terms. Any questions on the assignment, as always, just send me an email, and I'll be happy to sort of address those with you on a personal basis. I guess it's necessary to say, I think it's important. I think there's a reason that I assign Silko. It always seems, at least in the fall, the way the course works out, that we're reading Silko. I'm recording this on Monday. If many of you didn't know, it's known as Columbus Day, I guess, in the United States. It's a day of remembrance for me, anyway. It's a day that I choose to remember the American Indian Holocaust, I guess, is the only way that I can sort of start to describe it. And that's not to diminish in any way the Jewish Holocaust, but it's to acknowledge and to remember these events. And I think that Silko, as a storyteller anyway, is a great book for how to sort of think about and conceptualize the traumatic events and the traumatic effects that occurred in post-Columbian America. And so, but, not to leave on too much of a depressed note, but just to say that, even though a text like Silko deals with some very traumatic sort of events, I think in the end it's a testament to survival. And so I will, that's how I read the book. Of course, you're free to read the text in any way that you please. All right. Bearing in mind is that, keep in mind this day, or keep in mind what yesterday was whenever you access this video. Any questions, as always, reach out to me, let me know. I'm happy to help out. Keep up the good work, keep working. This is a point in the semester where people begin to sort of fall off in their work. You may get an email from me asking you what's going on, and I'm only trying to help you out and check in with you and make sure that you understand that there's work to be done on the course, and you need to do that work in order to succeed. All right, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you next week. Sorry for the long video. Yep, bye.